So you have this honeymoon period, I'm assuming, in terms of dating before you get married. So you said it was a year. So
Yeah.
was it a whirlwind year where he's just sweeping you off your feet?
Yeah.
And let me ask you this: how long after him and Aaliyah were you all together?
Yeah, okay, so here's the thing that people don't understand too, and I'm not gonna give too much because it's in my book. You have to understand, I was dancing for him in a world where there was no social media. So you have your world over there. I'm an employee. I'm just dancing for this man. And like people really attack me. You knew you was married to him. I was not. Y'all need to do your history. I'm just an employee. I go home to my fiance. I don't know this man's private life. And I'm not going to risk my job asking about your private life. Just like you're not going to walk into the CEO of AT&T or BP and be like, so boss, who you dating? What's going on? I know you got a wife. Are you cheating? Absolutely not. You like, that ain't none of my business. Move on. So a lot of stuff when it came to surface, again, years later, that was stuff that I'm learning as the world is learning, and everybody looking around like, wait, where was I? What was going on? But I'm okay with it. It took me a long time to just accept that people speak ignorantly without doing their research, without going back looking at dates and going, well, if you do look at 1995, 1996, there wasn't social media. That was a time where you had teams and lawyers and PR, and that was their job to suppress, cover, make sure it doesn't get out. And again, not to throw anybody under the bus, when friends and family of the opposite side are still around, there's nothing to be curious or raise an eyebrow because you're like, well, they cool. Barry's okay. I'm
Meaning
going about my
Aaliyah's
business.
family.
Yeah,
They were
it's like
still.
so. But again, people, I don't think that they even care to think and dig deep enough to go, that makes complete sense. They want to point the finger at somebody because they feel like at the end of the day, I took down one of their icons.
Oh, yes. Fans, you saying.
Fan. Oh, he has super fans. Like super fans. I have been threatened. Like I have screenshots that I've sent to my attorney. Somebody claiming to be his sister was like, if he go to jail, I'm gonna put a bullet in your head myself. Like the stuff that people send me and threaten me with, I'm like,
Do you,
yo,
even to this day?
oh, to this day, to this day. But again, I have seen the transformation in myself that I used to be like, but why? Let me do an interview and explain. Now, are we allowed to cuss? Because I'm sure finna let y'all. Fuck y'all. That is honestly how I feel. I
Yeah.
really do feel that way. I'm like, Kanye hit it on the head. I'm for who I'm for. I don't have time to be wasting on y'all knuckleheads. It's women out here who are voiceless. I need to be their voice. I need to use my platform to bring awareness to what's really happening. I don't have time to be worried about Shantae Lakeisha underscore 23 with that horrible lace front talking about what she don't know.
Drea. When was the last time y'all spoke?
God, that had to be over 10 years ago.
So
Yeah.
y'all haven't spoken in 10 years.
There's nothing to say.
And what was the last conversation like?
Don't play with me. Don't play with my kids. I'm not that little girl. I'm not that 19-year-old that walked into that audition. I'm a lioness and these are my cubs. Don't play with me.
Now with the children, how was he as a father?
Horrible.
Really?
I mean,
And
there's
I
just.
and I
I think that men in a position of power confuse being a provider with being a father. Because there's a mansion, because there's a nanny, because there's a driver. Those are things that you provide. Being a father means you need to be present. And at the end of the day, you're your own boss. So the excuse of I was in the studio or I'm traveling, I'm doing this, your children become before everything. Because at the end of the day, you never sell another album. Or if you're in prison, you're still somebody's father.
what is it like with the children and their relationship with him now?
This is going to sound odd to a lot of people. I really don't know. They're adults now. I have stepped away when Robert Jr. turned 18. I was like, whatever you decide from this point, if you want to call him, you don't have to get permission. If you want to go visit him in jail, you don't have to get my permission. You're a young adult now. That is up to you. But I've always been that mother that I knew how to separate him not being a good husband, and the relationship with him and his children as their father. Those are two separate things. So whatever my children feel, if you love them and want to see them, great.
Yeah.
If you hate them and never want to talk to them again, great. That is your decision. Because I know what it's like to be his ex-wife, his wife. I can kind of separate myself from that. They share DNA. That's forever.
How did your parents feel about him? Knowing the cycle of abuse that you observed, what was their viewpoint on him as a person and his treatment of you?
I will tell you this, my dad is a retired naval officer, and he said the next time, if ever it comes to it, y'all will see me on the glass like this. So y'all figure that out for yourself. My dad was like, I better not ever run across that man on the street. Ever. But the respect I have for my father, he's like, but because that is the father of my grandchildren, that is the only grace he gets. Only.
That's an interesting perspective considering what you've observed even growing up.
Yeah.
I think that, a lot of times people take note of people in prison or people that the biggest gangsters, but we all have a soft spot.
Yeah.
And, figuring out what that is. And a lot of times I've seen some tough guys, if their mamas, hey, we gonna come after your mama now, or your kids, your grandkids. So clearly that was a tender moment for your father.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
for him, it's like, okay, one blow, that was my daughter, but now it's the second, third, and fourth with my grandchildren.
Yeah.
So that just took my dad over the edge. He was like, yeah, I'm
Wow.
good.
What was conversation like? Did you understand the cycle of abuse that he had been through growing up? Did y'all ever talk about that?
I did.
Really? Because from what I've read and researched and seen, it seems as if, he was abusing men, women, just whatever. Is that accurate?
But I think it stems from his childhood, being molested by a man and a woman.
So wow. So that's confirmed that he was
Oh, yes.
molested by both men
Yes.
and women.
Men and women.
Wow.
Dealing with illiteracy, not being able to read.
Now, we would hear about these things, but it was never really confirmed.
Oh, God, yeah. It's, what's the best way to describe? I don't want to say a humbling. Sitting with him, and I remember going through a Dr. Seuss book. And he gets out of the bed and he goes in the hallway, and I'm like what's, like, he just transformed into this little boy right before my eyes, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, we're just reading stories to the kids, what's going on? And he shared with me, he said, Drea, I don't want to do that in front of them. And I said, but why? He was like, I can't read to them what's in that book. I don't want my kids to know I can't read. I said, but Robert, what you have to understand is they can't read either. You are magical in here. Make up the story as you go. I'll help you sound it out. And literally, I was teaching him to read through Dr. Seuss books.